So I was sitting at the GE the other day, flexing, as I normally do, and a small nooblet came up to me and he's like, "Damn bro, you're rich." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he was like, "How did you make that much money?" And I was like, "Well, Sonny, sit down." And okay, that bit is done. I actually apologize for that one. It was a dumb joke. I probably should not have started with it, but you're like, clearly you spent all this time recording, editing it, and putting it in the correct order. That is because this entire segment was planned out like that. That is literally my train of thought, so I thought I would just break the fourth wall real quick and give you guys a bit of an insight into my creative process anyway. The most common question I get from noobs while I bank stand is, how did I earn so much money? Well, I'm sure you guys mostly know me as a very anti-sand casino individual. I have staked, but I'm down like 300 mil lifetime. But I will tell you guys what I tell everybody. The best way to make billions of GP is to play every day for several years, slowly maxing your account and grinding high-end PVM and getting lucky. People don't like that answer. Some of you are probably like, "I've been playing for 3 years, I've never had a bill." The difference between you and me is that you have fun. I hate this game.
Don't even think for a second, nigga, you might need a moment. You were only given one shot like a buzzer beater, but you stoned it. Brick house, brick house, brick house, brick house. Living bricks at the studio.
First off, I have some announcements at the end of the video, so stick around if you want to hear some juicy news. But anyway, I'm going to be going over a few of my favorite ways to make money during several different stages of your account. We're going to be covering some zero requirement moneymakers here, middle game options, later game methods, and absolute sauce boss, high speed fuckery. With that said, this is not like a top 10 or a ranking or anything, more so just some suggestions and things that I did at various levels. So let's go ahead and get it due. Alright, gonna give a free shout to the F2P players here. Telegrab Zammy Wines, it's your only hope. I've gone over this in a couple videos, but if you're at the stage where you need zero requirement moneymakers, it's really, really important that you also do things that progress your account, right? Like you could spend 20 hours a week watering saplings to pay for a bond and then have a few hours of actual playtime. Or you could grind out some Slayer monsters, get combat XP, make overall less money, but make some account gains that will enable you to unlock much better money-making methods long term. Runescape is very much not a short-term game, so what are you to do? Well, if you really need some sweet raw GP, there's a few pretty good ones. Like I said, telegrabbing wines isn't terrible even for P2P because you get mage XP and the world's a lot more empty, but you can also sell out and do things like buying certain items from shops, like the bagged plants in Falador are quite good. Those tend to have very good margins. This next one isn't technically zero requirements, but it takes literally 1 day to get to Wintertodd, and that is very easy money and great XP. Flipping should also be mentioned here. It is very risky, but there are several good flipping channels out there on the tube that you can learn from. I definitely recommend Flipping Old School and Scapenomics. This is a pretty high-powered one because this enables your money to work for you while you make gains out in the rest of the game, which once again is very important at this stage. There are of course the classics like unfinished potions and watering saplings, but seriously, I know not everyone is able to, but if you are, just buy a bond. If you like RuneScape a lot and you play it a lot, $11 a month is a very worthwhile investment. Now, some middle game tactics. Now, hopefully bond money is not an issue at this point, but there are some beautiful things that you could do to maintain at this level. Rule number 1, do your herb runs, guys. Seriously, farm some Ranars because only cowards use an herb profit calculator. If you know life this, like I know that you're going to, and do like 10 runs a day, you could make upwards of $1 mil plus farming XP. And the piece de resistance is adding this next part, boys. Birdhouses. Do a birdhouse after every herb run and you're absolutely bussing. Guys, not only do you get extra money on top of all that, but you get hunter XP, which allows you to skip early game hunter, which is arguably the worst skill in the game. But I haven't met anyone that argues against that yet. If you so choose, you may also start doing a little bit of PVM like barrows, which is a good way to get combats up. Also, the Slayer monsters start getting decently profitable now, so you're going to be getting into the territory of Death Devils, Wyverns, Gargoyles, and my personal favorite, Brutal Black Dragons. That's probably the best one in this tier because not only can you get up to like $1 mil an hour doing these, but they also drop totem pieces, which gives you a juicy pet chance. I know for a fact there are people in here who complain about not having any pets when the highest boss KC they have is 125 and the drop rate is 3,000. If you feel attacked by this, rest assured you are. Shut the fuck up and kill more bosses. Anyway, everyone loves a cute little pet, and these are the golden years of your account here where the time invested to dopamine received ratio is at its absolute highest point. Now, venturing into the later game. Honestly, money at this point, it's just PVM. You should be approaching the high 80s to 90s in your combats just kind of all around. But before we dive into the PVM methods, I wanted to give a shout out to the one single skilling method that is actually a good moneymaker. That is the Hollowed Sepulcher. I really recommend learning this one, guys, as it is, scientifically speaking, tight as fuck. Low-key, this shit is juiced to the gills. It's some of the best skilling content we've ever gotten. It's something like 2 mil GP an hour and by far the best agility XP in the game. Granted, for maximum money, you do need 92 agility, but it's honestly viable at 82, which is not that high of a level. And if you think it is, go back to the middle game section of this video and stay there. Of course, I will not ignore our RuneScape overlords, Vorkath and Zulrah. At the time of making this video, gear is starting to bounce back up a little bit, so these hardcore kind of money grinders are losing a bit of potency, but they will always be good money. Now, money for you at this point in the game should not really ever be a concern. Your supply should always be taken care of, membership is a done deal. You're going to be working towards big goals like Tebow and Sight. Speaking of, you can start doing some Chambers runs, which is not necessarily great money, but you never know, you might get lucky, it's good to learn. And I feel like a lot of people at this point have like the Tebow goal in their mind, and they have a tendency to want to hard camp something until they can afford it or afford whatever goal they have. I would steer away from this line of thinking. Best thing to do at this point in the game is as much content as you can. Do all the Slayer bosses, try some Wildy bosses, do God Wars. At this point, you're officially gaming. But not as hard as possible, because there's one tier left, my friends. This is what I like to call the sheesh tier. Viewers at home, I invite you to join me in a communal sheesh. Sheesh! Thank you. You're maxed, you have the world at your fingertips, and with all the gear in Galenor, these are the methods that you're going to be doing at the tippy top. Only available to the most dedicated and skilled RuneScape chads. Number one is, of course, selling infernal capes to your friends, real world trading. Oh, sorry, wrong list. That was for my OnlyFans. If you really want to stack the RuneScape cheddar, endgame content like Top and Challenge Mode Chambers are kind of the golden standard, right? But these two are kind of the same across every money-making list, but to be fair, we haven't gotten endgame content in 3 years. Nightmare does not count. So we're working with what I got, but I do have some interesting notes on them. I would rank Challenge Mode Chambers a little bit lower, however, to find consistent teams, you're pretty much hard required to have max gear and at the very least a Tebow. These things are purple factories, especially if you're running efficient 5s, so they are worth learning as much as I flame it. Plus, the only thing better than money is flexing, and Twisted Kits and Dusted Omelettes are large flexes. Hyper efficient challenge modes are something like 6 mil an hour, but with any lottery style encounter, it is very RNG dependent. Now, on to Tob. The most popular way of doing Tob is typically a 4-man. It's the easiest to learn, it has the most forgiving scaling, and all your buddies can tag along. When you get pretty good though, the meta changes to 3s because that is quote unquote the best money. But it's not quite that simple. Go a level higher. The really elite Tobbers almost never do trios because they'll either be doing speedrun 5s and 4s, which are actually not that much worse money than 3s and pretty damn fun, or they'll whip their nuts out and do duos. So the way the drops work in Tob is a deathless raid will be about a 1 out of 9 chance to receive a drop, be it duo, solo, trio, quads, whatever. It's 1 out of 9. So an efficient duo, though it takes a little bit longer, has a much higher average split. You could argue that solos are in theory the best money, but including like supplies and learning costs, realistically no. If you guys want to know exactly how good these are, efficient duo Tobs are literally over 8 mil per hour, even in the current garbage market. It's pretty insane. So get good. Also at this level, you have expendable funds, so you can start rushing another count to alt with, you can do dolo methods, or even just do rune dragons while you AFK in the main. God War supply running becomes viable. I mean, you're literally limited by your imagination. However, try your very best not to get this far into RuneScape. Us endgame players don't really get new content, so we're kind of stuck grinding the same things over and over again. It comes to the point where you either start pet hunting, speedrunning, quitting, or starting a YouTube channel. I hope you guys learned something today. I want to start off by saying we are super close to 25k subs. And to celebrate, I will be doing a few things. Number one, my next IRL video is coming out very soon. I've teased that one a little bit. And number two, I will be doing a subathon on Twitch TV/TastyOSRS. That will be up to 25 hours long. I'll release more on that as the date approaches. But I've got some wicked stuff planned. So thank you everybody for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. And of course, remember, stay tasty. That is the dumbest catchphrase.
Old school, tasty, fresh on the scene. 10K in 10 days, man, that shit was obscene. But with fans come haters, I think you know what I mean. Little whiny bitch shouting, you ruined 416. Sit down and be quiet, I know that it hurts. To get a TOB KC like mine, you need work. Big in game,